Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of Queen Konging with the Queen Kong. I assume by now you've already followed us on Facebook, Queen Kong, Instagram, at the Queen Kong, and Twitter, Queen_Konging. Yes, those are our handles for social media. And I'm back with another episode. Today we're going to talk about work. Now that we're not working and we're just chilling at home, we might as well talk about work. I want to share with you some of my job experiences. I will start with my first job ever. I was 17 years old. I had just finished Form 4. Like venye tu nilimaliza Form 4. You know that period of umemaliza Nov. So December, you're just chilling at home. Sis didn't chill at home. Sis went to work. I had a neighbor, and she was a very, very good friend of mine. Awo, Mr. and Mrs. Awo is what we'll call them. They were very good friends of mine, and Awo, the lady, used to do promos. At the time, she was doing a promo for GlaxoSmithKline, GSK, Madawa, Panadol, and all those things. So she told me, since you finished Form 4, badala ya kukaa tu mtaa, tituna nikupeleke around nikujulishe shughuli ujue kuhustle. So my first job then was that I would go to sell the merchandise, the GSK merchandise, in shops upper OTC. So I would go there, we'd go in the morning and una push 2 for March. So we had t-shirts that we were giving people, pens, notebooks. And so when someone buys a certain amount of GSK merchandise, you give them one of the incentives. Now, at the same time, I had joined IAT. You know that one for Mababi that back then, mi nilikuwa Bombay, by the way. Tulienda kusoma ICDL. See, that was the true mark of Bombayism at that time. To Bombayism. But anyway, so I was at IIT, I was studying ICDL. It was like the coolest thing to do back then. Actually, God knows how it didn't help our lives, but it is what it is. It was our cool legs at our time. So I was going to class, and my classes were in town, IIT, the town branch that is at Loiter Street. And so I'd wake up, go to work in the morning, and then later on in the evening, I'd go for classes and then go home. So because my mom was paying for my fee, I had to figure out my transport. So like I was pushed to independence at that early age, and I had to figure out transport. So what we used to do was sell the t-shirts that we were given for incentives. This was very wrong. I do not condone this, but it is what it is. And it is behind us. I didn't know any better then. So when we get incentives to give people for free, we would sell them. So we'd sell the t-shirts. So kulikuwa na ya yellow ya ino. Hiyo t-shirt ilikuwa sura mbaya ya yellow ya ino, and then ya blue ya Panadol. The Panadol one was prettier, but the ino one was so ugly and it had such bad quality. So ukipata mse akitaka ya ino unamuzia. So akitaka ya Panadol ni 150. Biro na pena bure na notebooks. So what we used to give were the biros and the notebooks. They were like 2 notepads, like the ones doctors would use to scribble on something. So that's what we used to do. So we'd sell the t-shirts, and then that would give us money for lunch and transport. Imagine that was my first hustle. It also helped me a lot in knowing town. My friend Awo would she had this thing. She's the first person to take me into town, like going to even where my school was. She's the one who took me. And I remember she had this advice. So when you're going to class, don't use the same route as coming back. And then you won't get lost. You can never get lost. Just walk down. Utajipata tu mahali unajua. And then first stage 2 pia ilikuwa hapo OTC. So it made a bit of sense. So I'd go to class with one the same way from OTC now to Loiter. You can see it's quite a distance, and then come back with another. And then she loved going through back streets. So that's how I knew town. Me knew town through back streets. And up to today, I don't know streets. I don't know most streets. I just know back streets. I know where to PTR machom, nini nspatana na watu wengi. Yeah, so that was my first job ever. After that, I did so many other promos into Campo. Like I was the promo guru. But hiyo pesa ya promo, I think it's because we were very corrupt and we were selling some of the merch. Hiyo pesa haikutusaidia. Legit, it never did. I remember like my aunt at some point I was doing a Huggies promo and my aunt gave birth and I stole a whole box of Huggies wipes. Guys, Huggies wipes. Those wipes are legit and I stole a whole entire box. And then I remember sometime I would steal tissue. There was a time I was doing, I think, Fair Tissue and Fair and Huggies. And then I'd steal a whole 10-pack for Fair Tissue and go sell mta. Also, I remember there's a time I got arrested with a box of Omo. This is with one of my home girls. So my home girl was working for Unilever. So she'd steal merch that was for promos. So oh Lord, forgive us. We ask for forgiveness now that we know better. So I was arrested with a whole box of promo merchandise, taking it home, and I was going to sell a whole box here, almost sachet. Easy ndogos are 5 bob with stolen. So it was like that. Yeah, but the one thing I remember I bought with promo money, I only bought one thing with promo money that I always have up to and until now. And it is a Sony 300, I think it's called 300 watt home theater. Gosh, that is my greatest accomplishment. In the period of time that I did promos, I bought that and I'm proud of that one thing. Yes, so that is, I did promos for a while. And then now I want to talk about my worst job. After I finished Campo, there was this pressure to work. So to work for the course that I did, and I did marketing. So there was this pressure to do a marketing gig. My dream was to work at Canard or Ogilvy. Gosh, big dreams, yeah? But there was this pressure to just get a job where you have, in your line of expertise. And so I thought I would raise up the ranks in promos. But by 2016, it was not, I don't know, it was starting to dwindle. And then walikuwa natafuta wasichana light skin, size 0, guys. Missy light skin, number 1. Number 2, the smallest size I've ever known myself to be is size 12. So I was easily chopped out of the critique of people who were doing promos by the time it was 2016. So it was very tough out there. So I got a job doing print marketing. That was what it was called. Up to and until now, I don't think I understand what my JD was. It was so bad because it was a startup and the guy would bring his personal issues home. It was, and then the office was in Westie, in some building that I won't mention, and then it was confined, like there were no windows that would bring in light. I have this thing about light, like, gosh, I need light, I need to see, I love natural light, so there was this confinement that I couldn't, the office couldn't get in natural light, so that used to frustrate me so much. And then we were only 3 in the company, the CEO and the guy who brought me in, who was a friend of mine. And we didn't, I don't remember what the job description was. And I don't even know what I used to do. I would just come in. I think that's when I grew my muscle in Facebook, because I'd walk in, I had a computer and there was internet, so I was on Facebook the whole day. I didn't know anything better to do. I hated that job so much. I learned nothing from that job. I just wasted a whole month. After a month, I didn't even ask for a salary. I just walked out and I was done. I was completely done with that job. And so that's my worst job ever. And then the one job that I learned the most from was, so you remember last time how I was telling you guys how I went through a tough patch in 2018. So coming out of that patch, I remember I told you I worked in doing promo for selling Safaricom lines. For me, that was the best. That's the one job that I learned the most from, because previously I was managing a team. Well, before my downfall, at my peak, I was managing a team of more than 50 people. And I remember one of my worst traits was that I was such a bad, horrible boss. You know those horrible bosses whose movies are made for? I was those ones. I was very inconsiderate. I was not, I was inhumane. I was anything, name it, especially to women. You know how women bring down other women? I, sis, was that woman who was bringing down other women. But then when I got this job selling Safaricom lines, I remember the supervisor was a woman and she was very kind to me. And then it was very humbling. The whole time it was very humbling. And then on our team, I had some guys who are graduates. I only received my degree way later. So by then I didn't even have the degree. Like I hadn't graduated. So like there were guys who actually graduated and they were selling lines with me on the street. That humbled me a lot, considering I had been able to earn a living and get a good job without having gotten the degree. Also in the team, like there were so many diverse people, and the conversations I had with them, that really humbled me. So number one, I remember I learned how to be humble. Like it was a lesson on humility, if nothing. Number two, how to treat people. It was a lesson on how to treat people and how to want to be treated. Because at that time I was being treated very well by the supervisor, and I wanted to treat people like that. She just didn't care for who I was, where I'd come from, and she treated me really well as long as I did my job well. And just living with those guys and working with those guys enabled me to learn how to work with people. So it's one of and then also the human interaction I had with the customers. Kusimamisha mse kwa barabara. Imagine wewe, just put yourself in these shoes. Mdema anakusimamisha kwa barabara anakuja line ya Safaricom. It's the only line you've actually had all your life, but kuna mdem anakusuka anakwambia ununue line ya Safaricom. You can imagine how humbling. No, like for you, whatever response you give, just give your response in your head and imagine I received that response, And if you're a kind person and you are kind enough to buy it because it's just 50 bob and you could see the need of that 50 bob in my eyes, thank you, But if you at the time you're like, what the hell, I don't need a Safaricom line, bye, thanks. I received that too, And all that interaction, it just solidified how I want to always treat people. And that was a very huge lesson in my life. And I would love to say that all these experiences have culminated to what I do now, which is what I love, and it is talking to you people. And also what I do in real life. It helped me to love to realize what my passion truly is, such that when I went back to it, I loved it. I loved it immensely. And I started seeing the perks in what I did. And I feel like I'm a living testimony that there's no experience that is wasted in your life. For at every stage, when I was doing promos, I learned how to sell. I learned how to speak to people. It really built my self-confidence. And when, I was in that office, I learned patience. I stayed there for a whole month. And finally, when I was in this last job where I was selling Safaricom lines, I learned to be humble and I learned how to live with people. And it was such a great lesson that you can only learn yourself. It's one of those ones that you need to learn yourself. Therefore, how I feel about my life at this point is that no experience has been wasted. The very good, the very bad, they've all added up to the person that I am, the woman that I am today, the human being that I am today. I am not perfect. The ones I work with would attest to that I have my faults. However, I polish on them and I've learned to become better and want to be better every day. So wherever you are in life and whatever it is that you're going through, remember that no experience is wasted. And at every season of your life, make sure you're learning why you are there. Preach, sister. I know that's what you're saying. Which brings us to the end of our episode today. Again, do not forget to subscribe to every one of our channels. Facebook, Queen Kong. Instagram, The Queen Kong, and Twitter, Queen_Konging. Thank you, Queen Kongers, for joining me today. And until the next one, be good. Peace out.